With me now to unpack all of these regional tensions is Behnam Ben Taleblu. He's a senior fellow at the Foundation of Defence for Democracies. Thank you so much for being with us today in the studio. So let's start by talking about those tit-for-tat attacks that we're seeing now between Pakistan and Iran. There's been tensions there for decades. Just talk to us about why this is spilling over once again.
Well, let's hope it doesn't continue to spin over, as was said in the previous segment, or escalate any further, I should say. The region needs less conflict, not more. But Iran and Pakistan are actually borders. They have borders with one another, and there is an ethnic Baluch population that is straddling both sides of that border. In fact, the region is called Baluchistan, and this ethnic population on both sides of the border has engaged in separatist activity, arms insurgencies. These have been excuses by the central government over the past 2 years to crack down harder on any kind of independent political activity due to this ethno-sectarian minority, which has been protesting for some time. Iran has faced a bit of an insurgency there in the past. There is actually a U.S.-designated terrorist group that Iran claimed to strike. The name of that group is Jaish al-Adl. It used to have a previous name, Jondola. The regime used to target Jondola, in fact, in Central Asia as well. But this is historic because it's the first time ever Iran turned its ballistic missiles from the west to the east. In fact, Iran's strike on Pakistan marks the 15th time ever since the end of the Iran-Iraq War, since 1988. That's the conflict that birthed the regime's interest in missiles. It has the largest ballistic missile arsenal in the Middle East, that it's, in fact, turned away from the West to strike the East.
All of this, of course, coming at a time of high tensions in the Middle East as well. Iran involved in backing groups like Hamas, like Hezbollah, for example. What do you think it's looking to achieve in that? Is it aware of the fact that this could spill into something greater on that front? Is it seeking to assert itself, maintain the status quo?
It's an excellent question because for a regime like this, which has really cultivated the work through a cutout or work through a proxy strategy that we see now exactly to Iran's west, with Iran working through the Houthis in Yemen, Shia militias in Iraq, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and I think most poignantly Hamas in Gaza to strike at its adversaries, whether it be America or Israel. Why would Iran go into an overt public posture? In fact, we've seen several times now Iran willing to embrace the spotlight and strike from its territory. And in fact, it does this when the targets are undefended. That's been the norm every time they fire missiles at Iraq and Syria. They're firing at locations that do not have advanced Western air defenses. And B, it means that they actually want to be seen, for a domestic audience to get a status boon, and for a foreign audience to get a deterrent dividend boon, so to look tough at home and abroad. And lastly, and I think most importantly, the regime is calculating that it can withstand any kind of military pushback from the actor it's targeting, and that still seems to be at play here.
Let's touch on Houthis then, and the fact that Iran is also backing Houthis in the Red Sea, as we know. President Biden, he's acknowledged that these strikes at the moment from the US, he said, is not stopping them yet. You know, how do you see the US getting to that position, as it says, of de-escalation that it's looking for? Could it potentially get worse before it gets better?
I certainly think that's what the administration is hoping for. They're looking not to destroy the Houthis, but they're looking to degrade the military capabilities that the Houthis have, largely but not exclusively provided to them by the Islamic Republic of Iran. I mean, make no mistake, the Houthis are the newest actor in Iran's constellation of terror proxies, but they actually have the most lethal capabilities. They're the only ones with anti-ship ballistic missiles. They're the only ones with medium-range ballistic missiles. They're the first ones to fire land attack cruise missiles. So it's really a revolution in Iranian long-range strike capabilities that we see in Yemen. So the Biden administration 4 times now has tried to strike them, to try to send a political message. It seems to be, in my view, that the Houthis remain undeterred, and the administration instead is copy-pasting its Iraq and Syria strategy of pinprick limited strikes at storage depots, but now needs to move it, and in fact is slowly moving it towards targeting missiles that are being put on launchers, so preempting Houthi attacks. Will the Houthis heed this message is an altogether different matter.
All right, Behnam Ben Taleblu, Senior Fellow at the Foundation for the Defence of Democracies. Good to have you with us. Thank you.